Don't do it. It'll ruin your life. An estimated amount of 97% of young people play video games. Most of the top best-selling video games contain violence. My name is Matthew Critcher, and I'm here to persuade you today that violent video games are corrupting our society. Therefore, they must be banned. I have 3 reasons why violent video games should be banned. My first reason, violent video games, they promote evil. My second reason, violent video games, they can warp the brain of an individual who is playing the game. And my third reason, violent video games can be addicting. So let's take a look at my first reason. Violent video games promote evil. Also, I think it'd be very interesting if we did a little experiment. Every time I say violent video games aren't okay, you can respond, throw them all away. Why don't we give it a try? Violent video games aren't okay. You say, throw them all away. So taking a look at my first point, violent video games, they promote evil. In violent video games, the player, he learns to steal. The player in the game breaks laws. They can get involved in drug dealing. And of course, what violent video games are known for, they involve murder. In the game, the player is shooting, killing, somehow murdering his opponent. An organization that has top-notch research about issues, and they talk about the pros and the cons of these issues, and it's actually called procon.org. They said there was a video game that came out, and it was called Hatred. Just the name alone sounds bad, but it was called Hatred. And in the game, if you were playing it, you would cause mass murders, you would shoot cops, and you would stab people in the faces. Violent video games aren't okay. And you say, throw them all away. My second point, violent video games can warp the brain. On a website called Science Daily, they host articles from different universities around the states. And this one university, the University of Missouri, did a scientific test on people who played violent video games. And what they came up with, and what they saw, the results, is that the players, their brain got desensitized to violence. Not just violence in the game, violence overall, violence in the real world. They got desensitized. And they realized that in these players, the rate of aggression in their lives increased. Violent video games aren't okay. Throw them all away. My third and final reason why violent video games aren't okay is violent video games can be addicting. On the same website, Science Daily, the Iowa State University, they also did a test. And their conclusion came up to 1 out of 10 gamers can get addicted to violent video games. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 people can get addicted to video games. And thinking back earlier, 97% of teens and young people play video games. Out of that 97%, 1 out of 10 people get addicted to violent video games. And according to the McMaster University, also located on the Science Daily website, it says that the violent video game addiction, it can lead to lack of sleep. It can increase obesity, and it can give more risk to cardiovascular problems. So, some people may say, well, violent video games, if you take them away from people, that is going to harm the person. That's going to give them more time to go actually do real stuff that are bad. Here's my answer to that. Take the violence out of the game. Take all the violence out of it. Or include more activities for young people that are outdoor and enjoyable. Because violent video games aren't okay. Throw them all away. So, today, I was here to persuade you that violent video games are corrupting our society. They must be banned. So let's take a quick glance at my 3 reasons why violent video games should be banned. My first reason, violent video games promote evil. The player gets involved in stealing, killing, drug dealing. My second reason, violent video games, they warp the player's brain. They desensitize the player to violence. And they cause their rate of aggression to increase. And my third and final reason, violent video games can be addicting. 1 out of 10 gamers get addicted to video games. Those addictions, they cause lack of sleep, increased obesity, and even cardiovascular problems. So, today my call to action is very basic. You may know someone who plays violent video games, and maybe you've seen them get impacted in a way that doesn't look so positive. Maybe yourself. What I encourage you to is to follow that saying, throw them out. Throw those games out. And go do some fun outdoor activities with your friends and families. Why don't we try that saying one last time? Violent video games aren't okay. Throw them all away. And with that, I thank you.